Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and today we're going to get into the unrealized bank losses. These losses are so gigantic, and I'm going to show you two different pictures. I have to change the background here a second to show you because it won't show up right. That are actually going to lead us to a gold backed currency. And you're going to go, yeah, I don't believe it. I have people all the time say, yeah, I've lost my hope. I've just lost all, reality. You just keep making this stuff up. Do you know that Scott Bassett of the Treasury said you have to refinance the debt? The debt is held, the $37 trillion of debt is held by the Fed bankers who have the losses. What am I talking about? So the losses are these. You see, over the years, these blue areas are the available for sale losses. So these would actually above the line would be gain lines, excuse me, the gains. So for instance, in 2009 and 10, why were they making money? I want you to think about that for a second. There was a loss of money right after the 2008, 2009, um, where we all were losing money in the downturn, the Great Recession. But notice in 2009 through 2013, the banks were making money and we were getting screwed with that. It's because the federal government, through Obama and Bush, gave them a ton of money. Now, they will tell you it was $250 billion that they paid back. Bull. It was more like around as much as $13 trillion. Yes, it was. That's what they stole from the cabal. I mean, from the anti cabal, the good guys. They took that money and made a ton of cash. Now, they had a couple little blips here, but then they made way more money. Now, what these available to sell bonds and held to maturity kind of things. What available to sell, see, what they do is they have a short term note and then they sell it before that note comes due. Held to maturity, they wait till a little bit longer, and there's less risk in those, the red ones with it too. Now, in 2016, something occurs. Trump starts clamping down on them, and they start losing money. Now, in 2019 to 20, why are they making money here again? It makes no sense. Why are they making a ton of money? Because this is the part that gets so weird for people. They don't get how they were making money. Why are they doing available for sale? Why are they making money in the blue and in the red areas here? Because the Fed turned the rates that they were up a little bit, they turned the rates to zero, and some of them negative rates. You see, we were in, I mean, obviously 2020 said we were in a really ugly time frame, and yet they should have been pulling back spending, but they gave away a ton of money. And then the beginning of Biden, they were they were loaning out money that they should never have done. That's because they were becoming unhinged, because Trump, this is where I believe this time frame here, this is when he shut off the Fed's capability. They thought that they were going to make a ton of money off of the people. This is way more money than they should have ever made. But then when those notes came due, they started losing money hand over fist in ways that are almost unimaginable. Here is another one, and I got to change the this little blue lagoon background here to show you basically the same thing. This is but this goes out through 2025. The same kind of thing. The darker lines are the held to maturity, and the tan lines are this. Same thing, but it goes a little bit farther and shows you it's ugly. In the hundreds of billions of dollars. Now they've kind of calmed it down a little bit. They're spending weird, whacked out spending habits, but it is just nasty, ugly. They are screaming in for capability of doing this. Okay, let me pull that off the screen. I'm gonna flip to back to our little thing in the background here. But in the same basic time frame, they have been leading assets. Now, lots of people have been spending money on Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong, but U.S. stocks are almost nothing. Short-term securities, almost nothing in assets. Long-term, treasuries, nothing. The dollar, negative numbers. No one's spending money on the dollar. That's what they're scared about. Bitcoin, yeah, a lot. But look at gold. And I want you to hear the statement. This is not going to be a long video because I want you to understand what's going on here in the background.
We have a tremendous paradigm shift that's going on, where money is not coming into the United States, where the long bond is not a flight to quality asset. Gold suddenly is the flight to quality asset. People, I think Costco is selling gold retail and they can't keep it in stock. And gold has gone from, it was living at $1,800 an ounce not very long ago, and once it broke above 2,000, it was just straight up. And now it's basically a third of 10,000. 3,333 and 33 cents it was actually when I looked at it yesterday. So I think gold is a real asset class. It's no longer for lunatic survivalists and wild speculators. It's viewed as an asset class.
Think about that for a second, what he just said. It's not for lunatic survival class, and basically and weird speculators. He's talking about us. He's talking about the people like us who've been talking about it, the conspiracy theorists, the whack jobs. He's saying it is now an asset class. I'm going to back that up because I want you to hear what he says here again.
It's no longer for lunatic survivalists and wild speculators. It's viewed as an asset class, and central banks have been accumulating gold. Gold was stuck in the mud because for a decade or more, central banks were selling it down. They've bought it all back.
And more. They have been buying so much of this. Why are central banks doing this? Because, guys, I'm telling you, the gold-backed currency is coming. When the gold-backed currency comes, the debts wipe out completely. When you move into a gold-backed currency, the debts of not just the federal debt, it just wipes out. It walks away. The other debts have to be wiped out. The central bankers have to wipe their debts out. Your debts have to go away because they don't get to keep them. I'm telling you, this whole system changes. That's why I have green in the background. Guys, be calm. Why do I tell you this? Hope is your confidence, and sometimes your confidence is shaken. I get it. But faith is the substance of things hoped for and the promise of things unseen. What am I saying with that? Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the promise of things unseen. They cannot live, and nor can we live with the debts that we have. And when we have those kinds of debts, and the gold is sitting in the way that it is, the only thing that is left is a gold-backed currency. And I'm speaking that, kind of deliberately because I want you to listen to me very carefully. Gold-backed currency is the only thing left. The other day, and I keep blanking his name out, so I'm sorry that I do. The IRS hired a commissioner. They confirmed the commissioner who for 20 years has hated them, has wanted to close them. And now he is the IRS commissioner. Let me explain to you what that is like. That is like a company hiring a CEO who has said, I'm going to close, let's say Walmart. Let's say Walmart goes off and they hire the CEO who's promised to close them. So if Walmart hires a CEO who promises to close them, what do you think would happen if they hire that CEO? The IRS is going away along with the Fed going back to a gold-backed currency. All the stuff I've been talking about for years is sitting on the doorstep. Hold on, it's coming.